I don't know where I left off. Who is up next here? Dylan in New York. Thanks for holding her on the air.
Hi, Alex. First off, I enjoyed yesterday's piece on the drug war. Very interesting. But what I wanted to speak with you today was something you mentioned earlier on the show, talking about them killing 80% or 90% of the population is what I believe. Basically, the New World Order's agenda. Now, I saw a video of you on YouTube where you were walking around in Georgia filming the coffins that FEMA purchased for its American citizens. With that said, I can personally acknowledge that they do have a very large controlled grid in Georgia. I used to work for a very large corporation, and they're literally the phones, computers, air conditioning, everything, lights, everything was controlled by a grid in Georgia. Basically, my main question is, with all of this and what FEMA is doing, will we be able to tell when martial law will be instated?
All right, Dylan, let me clarify and answer your question. Number one, I never went to Georgia and walked around in the coffins. That's somebody else with a southern-sounding accent. I guess they sound a little bit like me. But, yes, those are coffin liners, and we did confirm last year with the Bureau of Cemeteries from New York and other states that they are preparing for mass death during a bio attack or a natural plague of some type. And clearly one big rail of tyranny and bringing in possible martial law or full-born martial law would be a staged bio attack. Now, that said, when you are put through naked body scanners, when they're having TSA checkpoints in Miami and Dallas, Texas, and New York and Boston, Massachusetts, randomly searching people, or you go downtown Austin and they randomly wand people now, or you try to go to a fireworks display and they're searching you and your bags, or having regular Army out or Marines. This is martial law. Or when the governor last year in Tennessee says you can't have military checkpoints in all these towns, the military just went ahead and did it. That is martial law. It's just not declared. They are training us that a martial law type atmosphere is normal and acceptable, okay, without ever even declaring it. I mean, when the government's saying they'll kill U.S. citizens without a trial and they'll arrest you under terrorism charges in non-terror-related cases and waive your rights, that is martial law. So it's a gradual, incremental march into tyranny that we're facing. Let's go ahead now, and let's talk to Ron in Texas. Ron, you're on the air.
How you doing, Alex?
Pretty good.
Hey, it's been great to talk to you. I haven't been able to talk to you since Friday before the gun show, but I mentioned to you about a change in tactic relating to this Mr. Stacks bombing thing. Yesterday, with the article that you had with Mr. Dew about his interrelations with the L3, in his letter that he wrote, I'm not going to call it a manifesto because Karl Marx wrote a manifesto. That's a manifesto. This is.
I understand, but in his letter, go ahead.
Yeah, in his letter, he makes a reference to when he was working in Southern California, and at that time frame that he's mentioning in it, L3 was doing a lot of work in involving with the Global Hawk and everything else. I look at it like this. You were wanting to know where we see the state of the country going. I see it heading slowly as a probing tactic into what we will and will not accept. The incident with Mr. Stacks is still, to me, slowly, just like probably with anybody else, still looking like it's being staged. But I think he was onto something, and they silenced him, and they tried to set it up to where he was doing something and made it focus on him rather than the main issue.
Well, you get one of the most secretive companies involved in all sorts of remote control aircraft activity, and you've got one of their top Homeland Security people that's tied in with L3 owning the hangar his plane was in. And by the way, I'm going to get to that towards the end of the show. We now have the Statesman reporting he got to the hangar 2 hours before. So how did he set the fire at his house? I guess he could have time delayed it, but they say the house was on fire about 8:45. 2 hours before that, he's already at the hangar, 25 miles away. So the whole thing gets more and more suspicious. You have all these witnesses saying they saw no one in the cockpit. They could see into it. That the emergency workers from all over Travis County and the city of Austin were there across the street for a drill. That the FBI was on the ground before, and other reports seconds after the plane hit and the explosion was heard. You add the fact that they did send Geithner down here to grandstand and try to look like a victim for himself and the IRS. The fact that it did happen in Austin, you add all this together, it's getting very suspicious. And I'll go over that towards the end of the show because the file on Joe Stack is getting thicker just on the whole L3 situation, and we're investigating. Let's go back to the Genesis phone lines. Wade in Canada, you're on the air.
How's it going, Alex?
Good.
Thanks for everything that you're doing. It's awesome. I've been listening to you for about 6 months now. It's just amazing. I just want to speak about the Debra Medina thing. Some people are saying that she's getting blackmailed, but even if she is, she should stand up for herself, if she did something in college or whatever. If people make mistakes, stand up, tell the truth, get it out there.
Well, I want to be clear. There's no evidence that she's being blackmailed. A couple callers have said that, and I've said there's no evidence of that. And again, new listeners are tuning in every millisecond. That's a lady running for governor here in Texas that we've been supporting. And the whole Glenn Beck thing happened where he said she was a 9/11 truther. And she said, no, I support people's right. She said it's, quote, healthy. Those towers did fall in a strange way. And then she said, days later, it's despicable and horrible, and agreed that we're this dangerous cult. And I'm saying, man, that's quite a flip-flop. That hurts my feelings. I didn't know I was despicable. And so I'm saying, what are they going to say about this? I'm angry about this. And most people agree and are angry. A few say, no, she is God. You don't question Obama. You don't question her. You don't question Glenn Beck. Just everybody has their own little camp followers where it's just worship, worship, worship. And that's not who I am.
Good. You got to stand up. Lots of people died for you guys to have the freedom of speech, and, you got to fight for that. And it's another thing about Glenn Beck. You could tell he's a phony because he goes there and he calls 9/11 truthers morons and idiots and stuff like that. But if he's actually a real American, he'd actually be like, good, question your government.
No, he says a lot more. He says we're going to stage terror attacks and murder Obama.
Yeah. But it's him pushing everybody towards violence, though, right? But
absolutely. I appreciate your call. Days before the attack last Thursday in Austin, he was saying that these Tea Party people who are birthers are only 5% when the polls show it's more than half of Republicans question the birth certificate. And he was saying 9/11 truth's 5% of the population, another lie, and that we're all dangerous anti-Americans and violent. And then he put Debra Medina's picture up on the blackboard and next to Van Jones and said, these people hate America. And I came to her defense and said, this is horrible. And instead, her response is just to grovel, prostrate herself before Glenn Beck. I mean, it's just incredible. And throw us under the bus. But I guess I'm supposed to say, that's all right. That's good. But again, it only seems to be, from what I've seen, a few people that are even in her campaign think they're going to get a job or something. It's like we're big city politics or something. They're like, no, it doesn't matter what she does. We've got to do this to win. We've got to be deceptive. What? And some people are like, Alex is very Machiavellian. He's trying to make it look like she's not a 9/11 truther to save her. What? Save her? What Beck did to her really hurt her. Instead of gaining 5 points a week, 2 weeks after, she's lost 5 points. That's 15 she's lost. 10 she should have gotten on track, and the 5. She's got a 20-point now. And by her going into a tailspin and retracting like she's bad or something, people don't like that. No one likes that. But whatever. It's too bad. Let's go ahead and talk to Neil in Jersey. Neil, you're on the air. Neil. Okay, let's move on to Harold in Florida. Harold, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex?
Yes, sir.
This is Harold. I haven't called you in a number of years. I listen on shortwave. I'm a senior citizen that's getting a little non-articulate, I'll say, but I do have about 99% agreement on everything you say. Medina, the Stack thing, the 9/11 Truth, Oklahoma City, Glenn Beck, Ruby Ridge, Waco, the whole thing. When you go off the air on shortwave,